What is up? What is up, everybody? Long time no see. Shout out to the homie Sil Abdul, who's live right now. Apologies. I needed to go live and was having some technical difficulties, and I still seem to be having them. Like I say, not a YouTuber. But I need to jump on to talk about happy 15th anniversary to the masterpiece from Mr. Zack Snyder, Watchmen. Is 15 years old today, and it's a super, super, super exciting day. A lot of great things happening for Zack Snyder fans, Snyderverse. Of course, right now the Joe Rogan podcast interviews up, and some exciting things that I wanted to share. But first of all, I wanted to say happy 15th anniversary to Watchmen and happy belated birthday to Zack Snyder, Zachary Edward Snyder. His birthday was Friday, March 1st. Wanted to wish him a happy birthday. And I believe Debbie's birthday was either recently or is coming up. So regardless, happy birthday, Debbie Snyder. I wish you all the best. You guys are awesome. One of my favorite Hollywood couples, and applaud you for all the work that you guys do. So I sorry about earlier. The screen was kind of I was trying to share my screen to share some stuff with you guys. So I'm gonna try to do that as a little test real quick. Let's see if it works. I'm watching on YouTube. Maybe I need to do entire screen. Is that right? Or maybe window. Okay, now I think I got it. All right, I'm gonna share a little something with y'all as a little intro. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but bear with me and enjoy.
Enjoy that. Thank you. You're welcome.
You're so polite and gentle. It seems like it's a Tuesday night. Welcome to the Alamo Draft House, everyone.
Yeah!
You guys are fans of Zack Snyder.
Yeah! Woo!
You're here on the right night. We are here. It's a Snyder Fest here tonight. We're gonna watch Rebel Moon Part 1. We're gonna get a little sneak peek of Part 2. And look, 20 years ago, his first feature film came out, a film called Dawn of the Dead. I mean, you guys fans of Dawn of the Dead? What's Dawn of the Dead? like 20 years almost to the month. So good like bookending. So we're only able to do this thanks to our friends at Netflix. Netflix is in the house. They're making all this happen. They're also letting us show again just a little sneak peek in between at Rebel Moon Part 2. Rebel Moon Part 1, I mean, how many of you guys have seen it before? Like, it's back. We're going to do a Q&A with Zach. So think of your Rebel Moon questions. And as I said, he's got a little taste of Rebel Moon Part 2, which comes out, I believe it is April 19th of this year. So stay tuned for that. The other piece, your servers, I think you've already explained this, but our friends at Netflix are giving you all a non-alcoholic beverage, a soda, as well as an appetizer ordering off this menu. So dig on in, enjoy. Last bit, I don't know. Did I cover everything, Bridget? Bridget's over here helping me out. Cool. Buckle up, enjoy. We're gonna get our Rebel Moon on, okay?
Yeah! Woo!
Part 1.
So just clarification on ticketing for this?
For
Everyone has to pick? No, for
So that was my little intro that was supposed to play before I ended up jumping on. But unfortunately, because I'm not the best YouTuber, had some technical difficulties. But I figured that's a little good tease into what we are all here for tonight, which is all about Zack Snyder. As I said earlier, celebrating Watchmen 15th anniversary, Zack Snyder's belated birthday, the interview with the Joe Rogan Experience dropping, and also to talk about the event that I attended last night with Mr. Zack Snyder in person. But before I get into some preliminary stuff, I want to give a shout out to some of the chat members. What's going on, Qatar? I know the homie Sil Abdul is still probably live and wrapping up, so I didn't want to interfere. I pushed the stream back because I wanted to hear what he had to say. I haven't honestly got to see the Joe Rogan Experience interview in full, just because I've been so tired from hanging out with Zach last night, staying up for a double feature of Rebel Moon and Dawn of the Dead. But I will be watching that later tonight after some of the streams. It's a busy night. I know Sil's streaming, Zod's going to go live here in a bit, and Skywalker's going to go live. So I apologize. This is honestly probably the one of the few days of free time that I have. I have a lot of like personal stuff coming up in my life. So I'm going to probably be a little bit MIA, but I figured I was excited about the event. I wanted to talk to you guys about it. And this was one of the only free nights this week. So shout out to you if you're in here joining, and shout out to everyone on Replay Crew. What's going on? Taladia Plays. Good to see you, brother. For anybody who doesn't know Taladia Plays, he has a YouTube channel. Really awesome guy. I was on his show. When was that? It was on Monday. Yeah, Monday. The day before the Zack Snyder event, talking all kinds of cool things like Batman, Superman, DC Comics, video games. We talked about the Arkhamverse, Injustice, some Snyderverse on Netflix possibilities, and the movement of this community that is going strong. So go subscribe to Taladia Plays YouTube channel if you haven't. He's a really cool guy. Thanks for being here, Taladia. Always good to see you. And we got Geek Defense Initiative. What's going on? Good to see you. Yeah, the interview. Yeah, I saw the Sil Abdul was live, and I caught some clips on Twitter, and then I saw what Sil was covering, and he just kind of skipped through some of it. So I'm definitely going to be watching that in full. I was wondering why Zack Snyder was in my city, and there's an event called South by Southwest, if anybody is familiar with Austin, where it's basically the film mecca. Well, we've always been the live music capital of the world. That's our claim to fame. But South by Southwest has evolved into not only a tech showcase for basically Silicon Valley. Now it's basically here in Austin, but movies premiere here now. I believe the new Roadhouse movie with Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be premiering here. Last year, the Dungeons and Dragons movie premiered here. Ben Affleck's movie premiered here. Air. I'm sorry, not Air. Hypnotic. And so there's a lot going on this year as well. And so I was wondering, why is Zach here now? I was like, maybe it's here to celebrate his birthday. But then the Joe Rogan Experience podcast dropped, and I was like, okay, I think I know why Joe Rogan's in my city. So I'm glad to see that Zach, he's doing all the rounds while he's in the area. So yeah, my favorite part of Watchmen is Rorschach walking down 1980s New York City streets. Yes, sir. Got to represent. I love Rorschach. I love me some Rorschach. And I saw the part where Zach, I knew this, most fans know this, but of course, Eli Snyder plays the young version of Rorschach. So shout out to Zack Snyder's son, Eli, who is now a movie director himself and directed an amazing Rebel Moon TV commercial, which is pretty awesome. Great to be here, man. Yeah, good to see you, Taladia. Fun fact, my home city is predicted to be Silicon City. Yep. That's what, I forget what they call us. They call us not is it Silicon Hill or now? Silicon Plain. I forget what they call us now, but we kind of got the same little nickname because all the tech companies are moving here, and Elon Musk is here in my state doing SpaceX, doing all those crazy experiments and shuttle expeditions. So excuse me while I put one of my favorite movies in the background. I don't know if you guys can see that over there. It's a Warner Brothers movie with the leaf flying down, beautiful lie playing. So yeah, getting it in while I can, because if you haven't heard, Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman 2017, Suicide Squad 2006, Black Adam, Shazam, Birds of Prey, and all the other DCEU movies will be leaving Netflix on March 31st, 2024. So stream those on Netflix while you can. We are trying to engage on a platform like Netflix, where Zack Snyder is obviously working, and it's an amazing partnership with Zack and his wife Debbie and crew. So we want to encourage that relationship and possibly, maybe even get some type of licensing deal or selling of the IP to Netflix in order for Zack to continue his universe, because we love it that much. So yeah, I'm a sucker for that time period. 1980s. Yep. 70s and 80s. Yep. Silicon Island. Okay. BVS. Yes, sir. It's not even in Netflix here in Brazil. Oh, shout out to Brazil. Great people. Love me some Brazil. I have some great Brazilian friends. So once WB is sold in April, the Snyderverse will return. That's looking more and more plausible every day. So so I wanted to, this is probably the boring part, so indulge me a little bit, because it's been a while since I did my last YouTube stream. It was before I actually had surgery. I talked with Skywalker the Jedi on my channel, and I kind of told everybody that what was going on. I had some health issues. I had a long recovery. It was longer than I think it was supposed to be. It was actually 3 weeks. It was they quoted me as a week, and it ended up being 3 weeks after the surgery. So I've been away, but there's something I wanted to talk about that I had mentioned on that stream. Just to kind of like spread awareness, because there's some weird things happening in this artificial intelligence world that we live in. My Facebook was actually disabled randomly. Let me see if I can pull that up. And I know you're probably like thinking, okay, what does this have to do with, you know, Zack Snyder? And it really doesn't, to be perfectly honest. But there's a reason why I'm kind of bringing this up, and it'll hopefully make more sense to you guys. When I do, let's see, I need to get the tab up to show you guys. No, not that one. Let's see, is it this one? Not that one. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a visual aid of what was happening. Here it is. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you guys. Let me make sure it's right and you guys can see it. I think it is. Okay, so it might be a little bit hard to see. So let me try to zoom in. Okay, so I opened my Facebook randomly on, here, can I make this bigger? Let me see. So you guys can see it. And once you, I don't know if anybody's ever had this happen to them or knows anybody who's, here we go. Okay, so on Monday, January 22nd, I opened my Facebook, and this notice when the app came up and said, Joshua, we suspended your account for 180 days left to appeal, or will permanently disable your account. Your account is not visible to people on Facebook right now, and you cannot use it. What you can do, you have 180 days left to appeal your decision. We may need to collect some info from you that'll help us review your account again. Why this happened, blah, blah, blah. It says your account or activity doesn't follow our terms of service, basically. It was just a general thing. So I was like freaking out when I saw this, right? And it was early in the morning. And the last thing, so what I showed earlier was my Instagram stories, right? Stories are those things you can post for 24 hours. They're visible for 24 hours, and then they go away. Or they go into your archive, I guess, actually, which is basically you have to go into your settings for Instagram and Facebook. There's a setting where you can automatically share your Instagram stories to your Facebook. And I have that, right? I have those accounts linked because Meta owns Instagram and Facebook. So I always do that. And so what you saw earlier, if you would have noticed, the bottom icon said Facebook, but usually when I would share my setting, would share those automatically to Facebook, it would be highlighted. If you go back and watch that video again of me rocking into the Rebel Moon event at Alamo Drafthouse, it's not, because my Facebook has been disabled. So the only thing I remember is the last thing I posted was a video clip, a few video clips actually, from the Golden Globes. Essentially, I posted reels, like it was somebody else's reel, but it included clips of Jared Leto, Joker himself, from Suicide Squad 2016, now streaming on Netflix. Him joking with Angela Bassett during an acceptance speech at the Golden Globes 2024. Well, I guess the Golden Globes is owned by PBS. I'm sorry, broadcast on CBS, and I guess Paramount Global owns CBS. And I have heard that there's YouTube content creators that do not cover CBS content or Paramount content in general because they have crazy algorithms, I guess. I didn't know when I posted these clips of Jared Leto joking, right, with Angela Bassett, Christopher Nolan winning Best Director at the Golden Globes for Oppenheimer, and Ben Affleck and Matt Damon also presenting Golden Globes, right? I didn't know that was owned by Paramount, right? So the only thing I can think of why I got this suspended account was that because it was on Paramount Global, it was flagged, right? Well, I did include the 2 hashtags, which are underneath my name, hashtag sell ZSJL to Netflix, hashtag sell Snyderverse to Netflix, right? So In this picture, what I did is in the app, I clicked the appeal, right? So basically what I think should have happened was I should have had the right to appeal and make a claim, right? Well, unfortunately, when I did, I immediately got 2 emails from Facebook that said, your profile has been disabled and we've removed your Facebook profile. We've removed your personal profile from Facebook. So basically, when I clicked this blue sticker below, it said I could appeal, but I didn't have a way. So then I was like freaking out. And then I saw, this is the next, my Messenger. This is what I use. I don't know if most people who use Facebook do this, but Messenger is a way for me to keep in contact with my friends and loved ones. I was locked out of my Facebook, my Messenger, my Threads, and actually my Instagram was disabled for 3 days. So I'll show you that picture. So I started freaking out, right? Essentially, I started checking my emails even more. And right after I clicked appeal, this is the email I got. Your personal profile was disabled. Thank you for taking time to request a review of your decision to disable. As a user, blah, 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 you've agreed. If you believe your account was disabled in error, you can reply to this email with more information. I've been sending this email, replying with all information over and over and over again, no response. Okay. This is a cautionary tale, y'all, because this is not right. Basically, when I started looking at the emails on why this happened, this is the second email I got. Your personal profile was removed from Facebook. We've removed or disabled access to the following because of terms of service, blah, blah, blah. We don't allow posting content that is fraudulent, misleading, or in violation of the law. None of the content that I did was, and it has my profile name. If you believe this is a mistake, submit an appeal. I submitted an appeal. However, all the standard help center links and stuff that is in emails, because my account was suspended, and then when I appealed, automatically disabled, removed, and locked, I guess. There's multiple things at once that happened. I don't have functionality to use the help center or contact Facebook in the traditional way. So then I looked at all of my emails. These are all of the emails for all the stories that were removed. Mind you, the stories that are in question here, when you look at the details, look at the dates. So the stories were posted on January 19th, okay, 2024. You see that the claim at the bottom, there's a report number with Paramount Global and an email to contact, but the removal decision, you can see me circled in red, was made by technology. So this is the email concerning Facebook, right? And then you go to the next one, and this is the Instagram. Look at the hashtags that I used above the red circle. I used sell ZSJL to Netflix, sell Snyderverse to Netflix. Okay, I was disabled from Facebook on January 22nd. So there shouldn't have been a technology scanning of this content because it wasn't visible to anybody. I guess it was in my archive, right, on January 22nd. But after 24 hours after January 19th, at the timestamp of 12:44 p.m. PST, the content wasn't visible. But I guess the technology found it in my archive and therefore took action. So this is one. So this is the Facebook, right, email, and this is the Instagram that shows it's connected. Then there's another one. Removal was made by technology. Another story, right? Here's the email about Facebook. And there's one for the Instagram. Look at the hashtags that I used. Hashtag sell ZSJL to Netflix. Hashtag sell Snyderverse Netflix. Here's the third story, which is the Facebook and the Instagram. Okay. So then on my phone only, this is what happens. I can trick the system somehow. But when I try to log into my account, this notice comes up. When I trick it, right? It says your post has been reported for copyright infringement. And so For a long time, you couldn't play this video, but it's basically the video I talked about with Angela Bassett and Jared Leto during the Golden Globes giving an acceptance speech. So then they talk about, as a result of detection of our technology, we've disabled your Facebook account. Basically, I've been hearing weird stuff, y'all, of Meta's Facebook, Meta Facebook's artificial intelligence technology overly reacting to certain things and misflagging content that shouldn't be. After COVID, they fired all the human workers and employed AI technology. And there's even been, as recent as February 12th, 2024, new rollouts of AI, which was after my case, right, that I've been finding in Facebook's terms of service, right? So my Facebook is still disabled. Here's where the notice I got, where I was locked out of my Instagram for 3 days. I got my Instagram back, luckily. So I can be contacted there at my handle, which is on the screen. But yeah, I want everyone to be careful, because this is now, I think, doing more research. I think I was hacked. I had a alternate account, and I looked at that alternate account. Someone from Vietnam hacked into that back in, like, that's the Vietnam. Basically, they hacked into an alternate backup account that I had. It was closed on May 26, 2021. I had to use the Google translator tool to figure out what it was saying. So I think somehow somebody got all access through my Gmail, maybe hacked my account, asked for all these Facebook recovery codes, which weren't me. So those were all for my main profile. The way I was able to find out after the fact that I was probably hacked was through my Instagram. I don't know if anyone knows this, but through Instagram, there's something called your account center. If you go to the 3 lines on your app, on the app, and then go to your account center, settings and privacy account center, you'll see this. You'll see how it says my Instagram is active, but it has my Facebook and it shows it's locked. Basically, there's 2 different teams that work on these things, right? I guess for some reason, Instagram is less strict. Instagram's artificial technology is less strict than Facebook's. But anyways, I use the cell hashtags. My Facebook is disabled, going on over a month now. I'm going to show you guys what it says. And we'll get to the fun stuff here shortly, I promise. The stuff you came here to see. I just need to get this off my chest and tell everybody what's happening, because there's some weird stuff going on in the world. So this is, when you look at my Facebook, when I log on, this is what it says. We've received your information. Check your email for an update on your request and find out what other information is needed. You will only be able to complete your review when you send us this information. We're always looking out for the security of our community, so you can't use Facebook while we review. So then my only options up here are to download your information or log out. Download your information does nothing. It really doesn't. It just has like information in your profile, like that you put. It doesn't have like your pictures, stuff, videos, or anything that you would really want. And when I try to log out, the clock is ticking from January 22nd, 2024. It says, you can see the disclaimer, your account will be disabled in 135 days. I've tried every way to contact Meta and Facebook. I've physically mailed letters, sent every email inbox. I've tried to contact Oculus, like the Meta product line, basically. I've tried to research on YouTube. YouTube is actually a dead end. It's hard to find stuff. And the only information I can find is on Reddit, unfortunately. And my situation doesn't look good. So I'm putting out like a plea, basically, for anybody who's had this experience. This is obviously an abuse from artificial intelligence. I have a claim now because I was essentially hacked and can prove it. I can prove it by the searches that were happening, because you can find through your Instagram, since mine are linked, you can see people were searching for stuff that I didn't search for and profiles on Facebook that weren't me. I have all these recovery account codes that I never requested, right? There were sessions, multiple sessions in areas that weren't me. And I have all kinds of like proof, but nobody will listen to me. Basically, their Meta's platform is like, oh, well, the technology says we can't do anything. And it's interesting that the last thing that I had posted physically posted right on my timeline was the Rebel Moon interview with Brett Colbert. It was a spoiler review that I did for Rebel Moon, and I did use the sell hashtags in that also. So both of my social medias were taken down. I got my Instagram back after 3 days, but my Facebook is still disabled. And my worry is that, like, right now, I talked earlier about me having to be away pretty soon for family stuff. We use technology and Facebook to keep in touch with my family, especially Messenger, with children in my family, my nieces and nephews, my aunt, my mom, my grandpa. So I know other people in Sil Nation. Sil Abdul himself was recently taken down on Twitter. Mama Bear Art Doll was taken down, and there's been people like Peely Swain who talked about how they got their attacks. Frank, I heard, had his taken down. So Marcus, I think, even had his. So anyways, getting that off my chest, because it's been making me really stressed. I've been limited in how I can communicate with family members. It's led to a lot of anxiety. And it just shows how dependent on technology we are, right? It's a sickness. It is. It's just the fact that right now I have a loved one going through something pretty major, and not being able to easily communicate with people on the platform like that in real time is really hard. So sorry about all that boring stuff. Let me catch up with the chat, see if anybody has had this experience. And then we will get to the fun stuff, which is all about Zack Snyder, I promise. Geek Defense Initiative says, "Oh, have you been?" When I was younger, I did, but not recently. I haven't recently. Surgery went good. Thank you for asking. I came back pretty much out on 2/14, very significant day. Sorry, I do still have to make sure I'm wetting my whistle, so to speak. I do have 2 holes where my tonsils were, but they are healed now. I can talk. I ended up jumping on Skywalker the Jedi's Army of the Dead Netflix watch along on 2/14. Probably a little too soon, but I've just been so antsy and doing nothing in my apartment. I'm very active usually. I go to the gym every single day, and not being able to do anything has led into a lot of depression. I actually lost a lot of weight, which is normal for having a tonsillectomy. You can't really eat like you normally do. And so I've had a little bit of like, insecurities about weight loss and things like that. But that's all first world problems. I'm alive, so I am blessed. First world problems is basically the Facebook being disabled, right? It just sucks that right now a family member is going through something major. I need to be communicating with people fast in real time. Text messaging is great, but for some people, they prefer, or they're more able to be notified through Facebook, especially when it comes to video chat, because people have different cell phone provider types, right? So anyways, that's kind of why I wanted to have that little vent session and see if anybody's had this happen to them. Just so the community can kind of share what their experience is. What's up, South Cali guys? Shout out to you, homie. Thanks for linking Hold My DualShock and Skywalker the Jedi for that collaboration. That was freaking awesome. One of the MVPs. Good to see you. I got to meet you through Sil Abdul's birthday stream. So it's good to see you. What's up, Sid Havoc? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for being here. We're gonna get to the Zack Snyder stuff real soon. Imagine Matt Damon. Yes, Matt Damon as Two-Face. That would be awesome. I even kind of was wondering if Matt Damon could play Tommy Elliott, Hush, because Thomas Elliott is Bruce Wayne's childhood friend, right? Thanks to the Batman Hush storyline. So I kind of would like to see that little meta Matt Damon, Ben Affleck relationship play out. But Harvey Dent would also be cool. I'd love that as well. Hashtag free Josh, right? Free Josh. Hashtag free Josh. Buried under red tape. Yeah, meta. I mean, I really do need to. It's caused some of my family members to be like, you know what? We need to just delete it all. We just need to get off of it. And I agree. We do. But right now, unfortunately, like there's loved ones who are younger in my life that, that's how they share their feelings is on that platform. And, sometimes these people aren't forthcoming with how they feel, but they would rather post how they feel about things, right? So I work in social work, right? And this community, being a Zack Snyder fan, we are all about mental health, right? So I agree that social media is a sickness and not something that we should rely so heavily on. Unfortunately, I have loved ones who do, and that's their preferred method. And so not being able to be on it and access and communicate with those people daily like I need to sucks. Finding alternative methods at this time, but more so it's just an injustice of an abuse of artificial intelligence right now. That's the issue. So if anybody knows a method or has been in this type of situation, please let me know. Qatar says hashtag free Josh. Thanks, buddy. Hey, Marcus, hashtag free Josh. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. These companies forget that artificial intelligence is exactly that. Yep. Can't replace human effort. And yeah, that's what all the research I've shown since COVID, and they laid off everybody. They just deployed the AI, and you can go. There's an account on Twitter, Meta AI, I think, at Meta AI, I believe. And they have news briefings and news press articles about the new technology they're deploying. And if you go to transparency.facebook.com, there's like all the terms, and you can kind of find the flaws in their terms, right? And I was going to do a stream about that, but that's pretty boring, right? But if you guys find this like helpful about the knowledge that I've gathered just because of my experience, maybe I'll do a separate stream to talk about the hiccups in Meta/Facebook's policies, because there's no way to get around when a technology flags a content. They don't have a human really check it out. They say they do, but it's obvious. And in their terms, it says certain hashtags are deemed as abusive and against terms of service. I wonder what hashtags those are deemed abusive. Zuckerberg is ruining everything. I agree. I've tried to tweet at Zuckerberg too, but I'm a peon compared to that billionaire, trillionaire, whatever he is. Yep, it's a hellhole. So many accounts were hijacked. Yeah, and wasn't Qatar? Didn't you say Facebook was down or Meta was down recently? Like, yeah, it's a travesty. Free Josh. Hey, what's going on? Chris Brown, hope you're recovering well. Sorry to hear about your Facebook issues. Hang in there, bro. Yeah, homie, that's why I haven't been on, and you can't find me. So, it's I miss seeing your reviews, Chris Brown, but hopefully I can get my Facebook back in 135 days, or it's going to be deleted forever. So I have to start all over again. I've had my Facebook since 2006, when you had to have a college email to get on it. So tons of, literally like almost 20 years worth of memories, but it is what it is. At least I'm alive, right? I actually prefer talk to text. Same. Skywalker, what's up, homie? As soon as I come in here, I hear my name. You felt the great whoop in the universe, didn't you, homie? Didn't you? Use that logic for Two-Face casting, but yeah, Tommy Elliott would be more fitting. Same. I think that would be awesome. By the way, about Watchmen, I love the fact at its core, it's yeah, same. It is. It's a great, like Zach, like this movie. I want to watch it, but there's so much Zach content to watch, you know, and I got Skywalker's going live later. I got to finish the end of Sill's stream. Zod's going live in a bit. So I'm going to watch it pretty soon. But Zuckerberg just pissed that Zach based his Lex Luthor on it. Exactly, right? You know what's up. You know what's up. So finally, after all my sob fest about boo-hoo, Facebook disabled, let's get to the main event. What you guys are here for. Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder Q&A plus Dawn of the Dead 20th anniversary event. So last night I was lucky enough. Sorry, we're like 41 minutes in and I'm finally getting to the main topic. I was lucky enough, a friend of mine who attended the theatrical screening of Rebel Moon that I got to go to. Preface, backtrack. So initially, Netflix was going to do a rollout, very limited release of Rebel Moon in 4 locations that were Netflix-owned theaters. Basically, what I understand is Netflix bought these theaters in order to qualify for Oscar nominations. So those 4 theaters were, locations were LA, in the 70 millimeter IMAX, New York, 70 millimeter IMAX, London, 70 millimeter IMAX, and Toronto, 70 millimeter IMAX. So then, due to the demand of all of us passionate Snyder fans saying, we need to see this movie on the big screen, an additional list was compiled. Netflix partnered with a few cities in different areas, and my city in Texas just so happened to be one of those. Alamo Drafthouse is a big company chain. You might have one in your city. It started in the San Antonio area. But yeah, I was lucky enough to get invited to, I go to advanced screenings. I've gone to advanced screenings ever since college. There was some weird partnership that my college ended up having with movie studios. I guess they considered us like a test. Like I remember seeing Talladega Nights, that Will Ferrell movie, like a few days before it came out in our like school auditorium. And what was else? There was another movie, that random comedy movie that they showed us, a political movie, I think. It was a comedy political movie. I forget what it was. But anyways, ever since college, I've been on some kind of list where I get notifications of advanced screenings. And in my state of Texas, I guess we're considered middle America. So Hollywood wants us to give our opinions because they value our opinions, right? They value everyone's opinions, but we are considered like the middle America. So anyways, my friends, my 2 good friends and I got to see Rebel Moon a few days early. I think it was on December 16th or 17th. I can't remember, but it was really freaking awesome seeing Rebel Moon in theaters. Wasn't 70 millimeter IMAX like Skywalker the Jedi, but it was freaking awesome. So anyways, since my buddy already saw Rebel Moon with me, he saw randomly last Tuesday, a week before the event, he's like, oh, Alamo Drafthouse has this event. And he sent me the link and I was like, holy shit. Immediately got on my phone, bought. I didn't even know what I bought, y'all. I just freaking purchased. I just like Full Circle. When Full Circle tickets, if you tried to get Full Circle tickets, I was just like, okay, 3 to cart, boom. What did I get? I didn't even know I got Full Circle tickets. I did it so fucking fast. I was refreshing. Like, I was nervous, literally shaking. Did I get it? Did I get it? I checked my email confirmation. I was like, I fucking got it. I'm meeting the guy, Zack Snyder. Let's go. I was so hyped, y'all. I was so hyped. And then I was like, shit, I got to fucking buy flights. I got to get a hotel. But ended up being an amazing bit. So the same kind of thing happened when I got my buddy texted me the link for the Alamo Drafthouse Rebel Moon event. I kept on like refreshing. I was like, wait, he's going to be here in person? I was like freaking out. I was like reading it over and over again after I bought the ticket. So yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why this city in particular, but I assume because we were one of the cities that Netflix premiered Rebel Moon in theaters a few days early. Maybe there was just good feedback from our theater and our response. So then they came back and brought Zack Snyder with us, with them. So the event was sponsored by Netflix, and it was twofold. And so I'll kind of talk about that and share some of my experiences. So I mentioned this. I didn't. Actually, it was more or less like a marketing like conversation for Rebel Moon 2, talking with Zach. And Zach is a talker, as we saw from the Joe Rogan Experience. A lot of what was covered, I don't know when that interview took place. I assume it was today. Maybe it was yesterday, pre-recorded. But I'll be honest, a lot of those things I got to hear live in person, because Zach did kind of reiterate some of the stuff that Sil was going over. I did get to hear in person, front row from Zack Snyder. They only asked 3 questions because he had talked so much, right? And so the guy that was sitting, I was front row, luckily. The guy that was sitting right next to me asked the question, first question. The guy that was 2 rows to the side of me asked the second question. And then the moderator was like, oh, we're only asking too many people in the front. So then, because I had my hand up, right? But then they asked some guy in the very back, the last 3rd question. However, I had the best seat in the house, I got to say. And you'll see, I have pictures. I was right directly in front of Zack Snyder. That was what my seat, right in front of him. So you'll see that I kind of indirectly did talk with Zack Snyder, and he replied to me. You'll see. I have video. Thanks, homie. Yeah. Mr. Rorschach, I kind of feel like I was like, after the James Gunn news, I was like, the end is nigh, the end is nigh. But Skywalker the Jedi showed up and gave us hope. Right, homie? Right, homie? I'm a soldier, but you're a soldier. You're a general, man. General Skywalker. You're a natural born content creator, my friend. Oh, thanks, homie. I appreciate the encouragement, man. I just try to be myself. Sometimes I'm like, this is awkward, but thanks for showing up and indulging me. Twitter is much better. Yeah, I've been loving, like, honestly, you guys as a community have been just galvanizing me, and kind of like when I was recovering, because I didn't have Facebook really to rely on during my recovery process, my surgery. So Twitter was kind of like a safe space for Zack Snyder fans, and I loved being on there and seeing you guys. Yeah, Santa Clarita. That sucks. Yeah, I don't know what the terms were for that event, but or what theaters, but colleges have contracts with Hollywood. Yeah, they do for sure. So I don't want to go too long. I know Sky's gonna go live here in a minute, so y'all want to see some of the goods? I'm gonna walk you through my experience at this event for Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder theatrical screening, and Zack Snyder in-person Q&A, followed by Dawn of the Dead 20th anniversary screening. So let me make sure I got this queued up correctly. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Let me share this. So I'll just kind of I'll share my screen, and I'm just going to talk about what it was like at this event. Okay, where's the window? All right. So this is me showing up. Let's see, can I make this bigger? Okay. So as you can see, this was my seat. So my thought process was, I wasn't really familiar with the theater where it was going to be, right? So I didn't get front row, even though because I kind of freaked out, right? Like I got my phone and fucking did it real quick. And so I was like, well, I'll be close enough. I won't be too close, but I'll be close enough. So as you can see, I don't know, like see my head right here? That was actually the sofa. So my head is by where the moderator was sitting. But you can't see because the chair in front of me is so big and the sofa so small. So Zach, I was kind of freaking out where my finger is, because I was like, that's where Zach's going to be, right? But this chair was so big that my view of the screen was perfect. But during the Q&A, I was like, fuck, I'm not going to be able to see Zach. So I was kind of freaking out, but I watched the movie. And then I fucking moved up. I didn't care. I fucking moved up to that seat because nobody was sitting in that seat. somebody had bought it. Like I looked, it was sold out, but I guess they didn't show up. So I asked the dude next to me, I was like, hey, is anybody sitting here? He's like, no. I was like, I'm gonna sit here with you. He's like, yeah, come on, dude. So look at that, the GOAT right there, Zack Snyder. This one's a little blurry because this was actually a pic of the video, but I love this picture because as the credits were rolling, I got the Netflix emblem on it. And the reason, so pardon my awkward like angles. So as you can see, like this is like my legs, and you can see my in some of these videos and pictures. I'm holding the phone kind of in my lap because when he came out, the credits were playing. And so I didn't want to capture the credits on the screen. I was trying not to because I didn't know if that would cause video like to be flagged or anything. But this will kind of explain it. So enjoy this little, hold on, let me remove this banner. I posted this on Twitter. This was our intro to see the GOAT.
Hey, round boys, I'm John Smith. That's Zack Snyder. Come on.
Yeah! Woo!
Zack, take a seat. Got comfy chairs. Bring up the good ones.
Nice. There's no expense.
So welcome to town. Welcome to town.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hey, this enthusiastic crowd. Like,
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah! Woo!
It's cool that none of these people have Netflix.
We're trying to help them out. We're trying to
Crazy
help them
thing, that's cool.
out. But we suggest.
Like, I don't need Netflix. Eventually, the movie might play in the theater, so I'm gonna try and see it.
But they should get Netflix.
I mean,
before
April 19th.
Right.
Yeah, you have a chance. There's a window to pick it up.
Yeah.
It's really, you guys can get on your phone actually right now, probably, and just watch the movie on the way home again. It's weird.
So you and I were just chatting just now. We talked about Dawn of the Dead. We're
Dawn of the Dead.
We're just
Yeah.
Dawn of the Dead here.
Woo!
In a few minutes.
Yes.
Dawn of the Dead, that's your first feature.
First feature film. I don't know if you guys know, famously, I was supposed to do this movie called SWAT film.
Really?
And
The SWAT?
the SWAT movie, I was supposed to do the SWAT movie.
Yeah.
And the way I got it was had gone, in those days I was a commercial director. And so the way if you want to make feature films and you have like a pretty good reel, it's good enough to get you in a meeting because I had all these TV commercials that I directed and they were cool, or so people thought. And so that got me meetings at the studios, so I would go into a meeting and my line, and you guys can use this, is, so I'd say like, okay, what do you have? What IP do you guys own that you can't crack, that you can't figure out, but you love? And
All right. So I was trying to get off screen because I don't know. It's probably, let me know in the chat. It's probably a little like choppy for you guys, right? Because it's what it looks like in the playback. It looks a little choppy, I guess. So let me try to close out a few things. Oh, shoot. I have Beyonce playing. Maybe that's why. Let me try to close out Facebook. So try to reduce that for you guys. So yeah, that was a little introduction with the GOAT. And he did talk about David Ayer. I don't know if I got, let's see, here's some more pictures of Zack being Zack. He talked about how he ended up coincidentally being friends with David Ayer, who directed Suicide Squad. And David Ayer ended up directing SWAT. And I actually really enjoyed that movie. I don't know how other people feel about it, but I really enjoyed it. Trying to see how I can make it bigger for you guys. Let's see, can I rotate it? Okay, there we go. Can rotate it. And then can I make it? It's not letting me zoom in on this one. Okay, that's weird. But let me rotate this one. I just did this right before. So yeah, it was like a really cool vibe. Zach is just as laid back as you've seen in the Full Circle videos with Skywalker, Leon, and Sil, and the Joe Rogan podcast. He's an entertainer, like Sil Abdul says, like 100% entertainer. There it goes. Okay, here we go. So you get to see Zach hamming it up, being freaking awesome. And we were kind of, I don't know, it's probably not, but Zach and me were kind of making eye contact every once in a while because I was dead center, like right in front of him, reacting to everything he had to say. And so here's some more video of Mr. Zack Snyder.
Movie. I mean, you know, a pretty, what I had thought was going to be a hard R rated SWAT movie. I wanted to make.
You know what? Let me turn it. Let me turn it for you guys. That might make it easier. Oh. Turn it all the way around. So you don't have to cock your head to see. All right, here we go. Try that now. Technical difficulties, my bad.
Movie. I mean, you know, a pretty, what I had thought was going to be a hard R rated SWAT movie. I wanted to make a really violent SWAT movie. Is what I thought would be cool. And then I remember we were like in the room and they're like, oh yeah, one little wrinkle, PG-13. What do you think of that? I was like, are you kidding me? How the fuck are we gonna do? Sorry. How the fuck are we gonna do that? The guys arrive with the guns out. You know, that's like they're like other. You can make a cop. You've heard like cops say like stuff like, you know, I was 40 years on the force and I never drew my weapon. You know, whatever. I don't know if they say that anymore. They used to say things like that. Anyway, so I'd be like, I go, guys, in this scenario, the guns are like, they arrive with the guns ready to go. And I was like, and that's the fun of the movie. I want to like, they're going to fucking shoot the guns a lot.
They're going to fucking shoot the guns a lot, right? Like we've heard Zach talk about firing all your bullets, right? So I love that little comment. Zach was pretty animated as usual through this little Q&A. And really comfortable, like you could tell. I don't know if he's been in Austin before, but the vibe was super laid back. He was chilling, drinking a beer. You can see. Let me try to zoom in. You see the beer right there, actually. Alamo Draft House is really cool vibe, and I think he felt it. So let's continue with some snippets.
Oh, this is the coolest thing. Yes, absolutely. And I was like, see, I didn't get blackballed. Almost maybe, but like, and then, yeah.
Oh, hold on. I think I skipped a video for you. Check out this. Well, maybe that was the right one. Yeah, okay. That is the right one. He's talking about Dawn of the Dead, his first experience working on a feature-length film.
Oh, this is the coolest thing. Yes, absolutely. And I was like, see, I didn't get blackballed. Almost maybe, but like, and then, yeah, I took a meeting at Universal with Scott Stuber, who made this movie with me. And Scott's, I remember I did some acting out of like running zombies in the room. I was like, run around. I was like running around the room. They're like, he's enthusiastic. You know? I don't know if you can film anything, but he's sure the acting feels kind of cool. And yeah, and the next thing I knew, we were in Toronto scouting, and I was like, wow, am I really going to shoot this movie?
And this is what I was wondering about, like, and when thinking about the immensity of this project, about Rebel Moon Part 1 and Part 2, but also just like, I mean, just to have your first movie be a remake of a George Romero film, and to follow that up with Watchmen, and to dive into the DC universe to do Superman.
It's funny, I should have known. It was weird because when I said I was going to do Dawn, I didn't know that there was going to be like people that I was going to get death threats on that. You know, I'm like, how dare you?
They're our best customers.
And I was like, listen, you know, I love Dawn too. You know, like we work together on this. Like, let's let's be friends. Like I'm gonna because my whole thing with doing, I didn't try and I tried to homage the original as best I could. You'll see in a minute. I'm sure you guys have never seen it, but it's really a love letter to the movie, and it's also how do you deconstruct a little bit the zombie genre? Like a few of the things I always thought was really cool about it was this when we had the Richard Cheese. I got the Richard Cheese song, the Down with the Sickness. And I remember when I showed it to the studio the first time, they were like, "You're joking, right?" With that song in the middle. Like, well, what's the real song gonna be? And I was like, no, that's kind of this song. I thought it was like, how if we were actually making the movie, like.
So it's probably a little choppy for you guys. The video is actually not choppy. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. I think maybe my computer just might be overwhelmed. Let me try removing it and then doing it again and see if that kind of helps. But yeah, Zach was talking about Dawn of the Dead, his experience. He shouted out Scott Stuber, and then they mentioned Watchmen. You can kind of hear me give a little shout out. Woo! But then he mentioned Superman, and I was like, ah! And other people, I don't know if you could hear, but I was yelling, but other people were cheering for Zach Superman as well. And that kind of gave him a little chuckle right there. Little Zack Snyder smirk right there. So it was good that he was feeling the love in Austin, Texas. So let me see if I can, am I able to share? Okay, I don't know. We're going to just play this way.
Scene where when they're coming back from Andy's gun store, they run through those trenches, they run through the tunnel, and they come up the stairs, and our heroes are at the top of the stairs, and the zombies are at the bottom of the stairs, and the zombies stop. And the zombies, they have a little bit of a standoff. Now, would zombies do that? And I went, in real life, no. But in this dramatization, I felt it was cool to do, But you're right. In the documentary, for sure they wouldn't stop. They would just come right up and kill our guys. So, sorry, you're right. You got me on that one. But otherwise, but yeah, so that it was a super fun experience. And it was like a super low budget. I think it was $27 million budget. And we shot it in 40-something days. It was super crazy.
Well, and as I'm thinking about that and thinking about the...
So, of course, Zach, being Zach, talking about his process. I loved earlier in the clip before, he talked about how, you kind of can't see it, but he was talking about how he acted out the zombies, movements. And the studio execs were like, oh, okay, I guess. That's cool. He's really, can he direct though? He's a little actor, but so Zach was just vibing, pretty comfortable the whole time. The moderator's pretty good. I've had some weird moderators in the past at Comic-Con, but Zach seemed to be pretty comfortable and opening up with this guy. And I just love some of these expressions. I had to snap Zach, just being so nonchalant, so chill. Talking shop about his movies, his art, the process, and what it was like behind the scenes trying to get his movie of Dawn of the Dead made, and his first kind of look at what it was like dealing with studio heads. So it was fun to kind of hear him go off about some of that. And let's pull that video up and continue.
Make Watchmen.
So I didn't get the catch it in time, but they were mentioning how Guillermo del Toro, he was having a conversation, and Guillermo del Toro was like, "Oh yeah, of course you'd fucking make Watchmen."
Make Watchmen. You're fucking crazy. And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "No, it's fine. Go do it. It's just you're crazy." And I just think that I have had this. Listen, the cool thing, I'm excited for you guys to see the R-rated versions of these movies, of course. of Rebel Moon, because I think that I had this amazing opportunity with Netflix, where they read the script that I wrote, which is basically, I was inspired by heavy metal comic book or a fantasy magazine, I guess call it that. That's what it is. Adult illustrated fantasy magazine. Very adult, by the way. And I was inspired to make a movie that somehow got to that feeling that I got when I read that magazine. Now, the PG-13 version, which is fine and I love, doesn't really have the same tone as you'll come to find out from the 3-hour version of this movie. It's literally an hour longer, and it's right now we're just trying to get it to R. I think we're going to get there. And so it's like a much different experience, I think, and I think it'll be fun for you guys, for anybody who's like a fan of, because it's the why I made the movie. Well, that's what you'll see. Like, that's what I wrote. And so the opportunity I had was, we'll make that movie. We'll make this movie you wrote, which is a sci-fi, takes tons of resources, has no business existing, like Justice League, it has no business. Literally.
What it does.
In the same way, but we just did it preemptively. Like, we had this cool opportunity to say, I said, this movie, this PG-13 movie, love it because it's sacrificed itself on the altar of cinema so that this other movie can exist. So, in that way, love it.
Well, and in that way, I mean, how long has this been brewing in your head? I mean, like, dating back to when you were reading heavy metal back in the day?
Yeah, literally, I wanted.
So let's break that down real quick. That little clip. Zach talking about how the R-rated version is really going to be R-rated, and he's struggling to get it just to be R-rated due to his inspiration on heavy metal fantasy magazine. Like Geek Initiative says, Zach looks so normal. Another way he reminds me of George Lucas, right? But his imagination is larger than life, right? Geek Defense Initiative, like so creative, right? Speaking of cops stories, Zach should direct Max Payne. That would be amazing, right? But I want to replay this little clip for y'all again, because if you hear how he casually mentions Justice League, right? Me and Zach had a little bit of an exchange. At this point we had been vibing. I was reacting to his comedic commentary so much, a lot of eye contact, and take a listen again to what is said when Justice League is mentioned and what I say.
For anybody who's like a fan of, because it's the why I made the movie. Well, that's what you'll see. Like, that's what I wrote. And so the opportunity I had was, we'll make that movie. We'll make this movie you wrote, which is a sci-fi, takes tons of resources, has no business existing, like Justice League, it has no business. Literally.
What it does.
In the same.
Did you hear that? I was like, he said, it has no business existing. I said, but it does. And he's like, exactly. My heart was so full that Zach, he, in a roundabout way in all these interviews, finds a way. He's a marketing genius, finds a way to, bring up his most well-known IP. And there's no other well-known IP bigger than Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. I think we can all agree, right? Like, that's just larger than life. And I just love what he has to say. I'm going to play it one more time.
For anybody who's like a fan of, because it's the why I made the movie. Well, that's what you'll see. Like, that's what I wrote. And so the opportunity I had was, we'll make that movie. We'll make this movie you wrote, which is a sci-fi, takes tons of resources, has no business existing. Has no business, like Justice League, it has no business.
Yeah! Woo!
Literally.
What it does.
In the same, exactly, in the same way, but we just did it preemptively. Like we had this cool opportunity to say, I said, you know, this movie, this PG-13 movie, love it because it's sacrificed itself on the altar of cinema so that this other movie can exist. So.
Sorry about the lagginess. It was gotten better, and then now it's lagging again. But that was one of my favorite clips when he talks about Justice League, obviously, and he continues on here.
Crazy. I mean, think about it just for a second. If you think about it in content, like 90 million, the Netflix assumes 2 viewers per view, which is like, you know, 90 and 90. Does anyone 180 million?
Yeah.
180 million people, which is, by the way, more people saw Rebel Moon than saw Barbie in the theater. Like that is a lot.
Yeah!
So, I mean, I'm just saying, like Netflix has created a pipeline that is very robust, right? Like they can, you know. So hopefully, this movie, the sequel or the part 2, it's not really a sequel. I mean, we did them together, so it's really a second chapter. Yeah, and the cool thing about it is like, look, this movie admittedly doesn't really have an ending. I know it doesn't. It was really it was written as one script that was 200 pages long, and again, unwieldy and ridiculous. At the time, I didn't even have it broken into 2 scripts, so I gave them the 200-page script. I said, "This is kind of it," and they were like, "What the fuck is this?"
Mr. Talking Billions.
In what format is this supposed to be photographed? Right. Like, is it so you're saying you're going to make a 6-hour movie?
And you're like, yeah.
And I was like, wow, that feels long.
Yeah.
That feels long. With an intermission, I guess. You know, like a break, some kind of break.
In your head, it like.
So they are 2 6-hour movies. So if they turn out to be 6 hours, the director's cuts are 6 hours. These are 2 each, right? So they're 4. So it's additional 2 hours, additional stuff.
Any thought to, I mean, you know, when approaching that is like, hey, I've got flexibility with my partners at Netflix. I mean, you know, structure it as a mini series, structure it as, or you know, and any reason why just doing this 2.
You mean could it have been like a limited series or
Right,
something?
yeah,
Well, at
like-
the time, I mean, I think that it was, I didn't have enough
Yeah.
for like say 8 or
Right.
6, which would have been.
It's in between.
It was in a weird limbo state, so I think this was the perfect kind of solution in a lot of ways.
So
Yeah.
this one leaves off on a cliffhanger.
Very
The
much
second
so.
film, just a spit.
Second film,
So just a little break that down. You know, I know people now have seen the Joe Rogan podcast, didn't really get to attend the room where it happened last night, but Zach did have his math correct yesterday when he talked about 90 million views, assuming that Netflix counts 2 views, 2 people per view. Do the math, 2 times 90, 180 views. Kind of subtly throwing another dig back at Barbie. Barbie threw the first punch. Zach coming with the uppercut. So shout out to Zach for being the go. And I love how he's talking about the process of like getting these extended cuts, you know, kind of going through the red tape of what it's like to be working with the studios as a creative and having to go, you know, roundabout ways to get his content, you know, that he wants. So gonna catch up with chat real quick. Yeah, Geek Defense Initiative. I know he like there's more coming up where I kind of made a comment, you know, and he responded. So like I said, I didn't get to ask a question per se, but me and Zach kind of had a little side, you know, indirect conversation in a sense. And I just love this man so much. He's such a visionary, as we know, celebrating something iconic like Watchmen, Man of Steel, Dawn of the Dead, Owls of Ga'Hoole, Sucker Punch, Snow Steam Iron, Army of the Dead, Zack Snyder's Justice League, BVS, everything he's been involved with, just amazing. to be that close to greatness. I know. It was so cool. And I'm so glad that nobody was in that seat front and center. And so I was able to be, otherwise my experience would have been ruined, right? You guys have no idea how heartbroken I would have been if I would have had to look at like the back of a chair, the whole time. So I know Geek Defense Initiative. I know he loves Brazil. So if you're in Brazil, don't worry. He's coming back. Yeah, feelings activated, right? I love how he presents things. He's such a cool speaker, public speaker. Sacrificed itself on the altar of cinema. What a quote. I know. Skywalker, I have to push my stream to tomorrow. Unfortunately, go to your heart. It's content, bro. Hope everything's well, homie. I know I knew everybody was trying to stream today. I mentioned this earlier, Sky. I got some really personal stuff coming up in my life. I'm going to be real busy, so I'm going to be probably a little bit tied up with things. I'm not going to be MIA per se, but I'm not going to be able to be super available. So I figured, I had some free time now. I had some people asking me how the event was. Figured I'd share with you guys. Sorry, it's a little laggy. I see now it's my internet connection, I guess. Never had this problem on any other stream, but of course, right now, something happens when I'm trying to show y'all Zack Snyder content. But I know you were going to stream. Still Abdul streamed earlier. Zod's probably live now. Didn't want to step on anybody's toes. I apologize. I just this was the only time I had. So free time. So I figured I'd do it now. Than you, Skywalker. It's so much better for me that way. Yeah. So here's some more of Zack talking about the clip exclusively that he brought to show us from Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver.
Putting the team together. Film 2 is sort of we learn about our guys, why what about this journey is redemptive? What do they have to gain from being in this village with the farmers? And then, of course, it's a war movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're coming. Yeah, and they got to figure out how to win.
This is
So that was teeing up the first part, summarizing what we just watched with Rebel Moon Part 2. And then he announced that he brought a special clip. And I'll let him tee it up himself.
In that, everything's a spoiler, right? Even this clip is a bit of a spoiler because where Cora is in this little clip. So Cora's somewhere. I'll let you guess, but she's somewhere and she's fighting some dudes, and it's really just the smallest taste of the crazy, very long amount of action that's in this movie. But this is a little.
So we got to see the first clip that I'm aware of Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. And if you remember the trailer for Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver that happened after the credits of Rebel Moon Part 1 on Netflix, you remember that clip of Cora holding a fucking molten sword? We got to see that, baby. And let me tell you, my heart was fucking pounding, y'all. It was an extended action sequence of Cora, what seemed to be like the Dreadnought. I don't know. She may have been just on some other Imperial ship, but it looked like she was in the Dreadnought, the King's Gaze, in my personal opinion. Not sure, not confirmed, but you see her kind of in an area, alarmed. She's kind of in a caged, graded area. The alarms are kind of flashing red. And she proceeds to be swarmed by Imperial forces. And from then, the short, sexy-ass hair of Cora goes into action. No holds barred. And let me tell you, if you liked the action in Rebel Moon Part 1 of Korra's fighting style. You ain't ready. You ain't ready for Part 2, baby. One of the Imperial soldiers that she takes on after an extended fight sequence of very reminiscent of like Batman in an Arkham game, I'd say. Like that's what it kind of reminded me of, how she takes on several forces at once, but she's so, uses her weight and leverage. She uses her environment and her own kinetic energy to take down these forces. So inventive. But then one of the forces has one of those Nemesis molten swords. This one happens to be blue, like we saw in that snippet when they cut down Sindri's partner, I would assume, in the beginning when Noble strikes down Sindri. We see a little shot of an Imperial force with a blue molten sword. Korra wrestles that molten sword away and uses that motherfucker. And if you know about the design of the molten swords, something interesting happens. And Korra uses that knowledge and finds a way to use it against her opponent in the best way, is all I'll say. And it was freaking epic. It was freaking epic. I can't get it out of my mind. My blood was pumping. I was like, let's go. I'm fucking activated. And then this is one of my favorite clips where pictures where Zach is talking about his co-star or his cast member being photographed, because they asked, what was Anthony Hopkins' role like? Was he only voiceover or was he motion capture at all? And Zach was like, no. He's just voiceover. But I did photograph him with Jimmy. And this is Zach explaining that.
I mean, I photographed him for my book. With the Jimmy head. When you have, that's cool. I was like, Tony, look at the head. It's like a skull, like it's Hamlet. He's like, that right.
Let's do a few audience questions. We have a few. So Rebel Moon questions. We'll start with you, sir.
Thank you. In the fact that you got to like do this movie knowing that you're making two versions versus like making BVS where you had to like make edits, I'm guessing in post. What was it like in your mind when you're like figuring out what to edit in this scenario, because it's more of your choice versus like taking out? And I have a second yes or no.
Oh, go ahead.
This is just a yes or no that's been bothering me forever, and I don't know if you've ever addressed it.
Wow.
In BVS, in the nightmare scene, the guy that is supposed to be dropping off the kryptonite that sabotages Batman.
Correct.
Is that Oliver Queen?
It is not.
Okay.
It's a fine jump.
Okay.
I don't mind it.
Okay.
I've been asked that before, actually.
Okay.
There's gonna be 30
And I partly wanted to say yes, just because I love the idea.
He fits the mold.
He does fit the mold, but he's not.
But he's got a great question though. Yeah, and
No, but I will go back. I'll go back to the cool thing about it, the way we constructed this formula was that all the director's cuts I've done in the past have been in response to studio notes. You know, like, you got to take this out. The movie's too long, blah, blah, whatever. We don't like this sequence. By the way, all of the nightmare sequences, the studio tried desperately to get out of it. Obviously. They wanted it out so bad. The only reason they left it in because we shot in IMAX, so they were like, oh, that's cool. I guess we have that IMAX. I was like, oh, you want to cut all the IMAX out of the movie? That's great. Call IMAX and tell them that we're doing that, because they're going to love that. We have all those theaters that we deserve with no IMAX. That's good. So anyway, so they were like, fine, whatever. Fuck
it. So let's just break down that little clip real quick. Zach talking about working with Anthony Hopkins. Loved the freaking, let me go back to that picture right there. He's talking about photographing Anthony Hopkins. If you don't know, Zack Snyder has a photo coffee book coming out. One of Zack's passions is photography. I actually took photography in my freshman year of high school as somebody who wanted to be Peter Parker. You know, I love Snyderverse, but I do love Marvel as well because of Spider-Man and X-Men. And Peter Parker is a fantastic character. Batman for DC is my number one, but you know, if we're going like for Marvel, of course, one singular hero, Peter Parker, Spider-Man is somebody who I really relate to. So I took photography classes and learned the process. And really still the techniques of photography have come into play in this world where, you know, we have these cell phones, right? But we also now are directors in a sense. So not only did the photography training in high school come in handy for me, but now that we have technology and devices, one of the good things about technology when it's not run by AI, right, is that we can basically all be movie directors. So I love that Zack talked about working with Anthony Hopkins and kind of imitated him. And he was like, oh, Hamlet, you know. And then so that led to the Q&A that I talked about. The guy right next to me was the first person. So he got the first question. I don't think I even raised my hand fast enough for the first question. So he just immediately did. And he's the first person, the moderator saw him. But if you notice, the moderator, because he brought up BVS, the moderator was trying to like not have Zack answer that question. But then Zack was like, no, I'm going to answer his question. So the moderator, when he mentioned BVS, I think they were he was like, no, it's not about BVS. And then Zack was like, no, I'm going to talk about BVS. So I love Zack because you can tell he fucking loves that movie. He hates the person that, you know, the company that he had to compromise with that movie, but ultimately got his ultimate cutout. And I loved how he kind of expounded on the process and the difference on the editing, knowing that Rebel Moon was not going to be compromised, that he could be fully unleashed. Let's check out the next clip.
The director's cut of Batman vs. Superman is like 75% of all DVD sales are generated by the director's cut of which is cool because like, you know, when they make a movie, we have like a budget or like a spreadsheet that shows the potential revenue from the film. That line didn't exist, right? I should have said like, hey, can I just have that money? That would have been cool. I didn't think of that, but you know, in retrospect, it was probably, I think I got a couple dollars from the sale, but I don't know. It could have been more, maybe in the future. We'll look at that. But anyway, my point is only that idea that all of those director's cuts and the Watchmen cuts, even this Dawn of the Dead director's cut, they're all in response to a note. You know, pretty much the reason that Watchmen is the length that it is because, and that's not so much been noted, Alan Orn and Jeff did ask me to take one more chop out where Rorschach chops the child molester, and I wouldn't do it. And they said, fine. They let it go. And I was like, look, I don't know what to tell you. They're like, there's meat hanging on the cleaver. I was like, yeah. Isn't that awesome? But yeah, but my point is only that it was an interesting relationship to be in this place where we were like, okay, I know the R-rated version exists and that it is released on equal footing. It's not going to be put on DVD, I guess. I mean, depends how you view this streaming concept. But for me, in this context, it would be as if they were saying, not only will we make your movie, we're going to give it the same release. Actually, it's more my release because I'm releasing the movies on the same day because that's what I wanted to do. With these, I felt it was cooler and more immersive to have the second movie right there, or at least close the window. I was like, okay, well, can we do at least like 1 month?
So Zack, once again, talking about his relationship with DVD and the amazing no holds barred that he was able to have with his director's cut not being, censored in any way. And I love this expression that Zach has. Zach moderated the moderator. Yeah, gotta love it, right, Sin Havoc? I love that. Zach's the boss, right? You're the boss. And I love how he kind of mentioned how Alan Horn, worked at WB at the time with Watchmen. And, Zach has a certain feeling about, predators who take advantage of child molesters. And when Rorschach chops, chops some bad people, the studios had issues with the brutality of it. And Zach was like, you know what? That's awesome. No, I'm not. So I love that. I love that about Zach. He's all about poetic justice, right? And this man he looks so like refreshed and renewed working for Netflix, right? Like that's where we want to, that's where we want him to thrive, right? As a company who doesn't compromise his vision and his art, lets him go all out, like he's talking about. They do want their PG commercial release, and they got that. They're getting that, but then the real story that he wants to tell, unfiltered, unchained, uncensored, the Snyder cuts are Rebel Moon. You can tell that he's super amped for us to see it. And first, we got to get that part 2, though, because once we get the full story, I like this rollout because I think certain beats in the director's cut for part 1 might spoil stuff in part 2, right? So we want to not have spoilers, right? Because they're kind of 2 different versions of the movie. They're like alternate universes in a sense. So I like this rollout, and I think Zach is the GOAT for him and Debbie negotiating this amazing way that we can get multiple forms of the same visionary director's art. So I just took a ton of pictures, as you can see. Zach in the process talking about how he cooks, talking about, all of the ins and outs of filmmaking. All right, good to see you, Geek Defense Initiative. I don't know what time it is in Brazil, but thanks for stopping by. We're wrapping up here pretty soon. But I just want to finish showing these videos with you guys and talk about stuff coming up. Here's the next clip.
But it's not. It's a kind of. It's a take. It's not a remake of Excalibur. I wouldn't do that. But it's like an American. It's take Excalibur and set it in sort of an American mythic setting, i.e., like the West or something. And sort of tell that story again in that setting. So that might be something that as far as there are things like I would say, a movie like Watchmen. It's my take, but it's very much the book. It's like a weird. We always talk about I always say I want to do Dark Knight Returns. Right? Yeah. Woo. And so I always go that would be the book. I would make it the drawings. I don't know. It would be the script would be the comic book. That's how you would do it. And so that I would say is not like me taking a shot at a piece of IP. That's me delivering it back to its, making. Because look, the truth is, and I've done it. Dark Knight Returns has been ripped off by every single Batman director.
Yep.
Since
'89.
Since '89. And so it'd be cool just to make it so that everyone understands where it all came from.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. About now, it's okay. So there was a while there where it was ripped off so much that you were like, oh, there's no need to do it, right? And now it's been ripped off so much that there is a need to do it. So
A pure version.
Yeah, so you're like, oh, fuck, really?
Do the actual fucking thing.
That's the horse? That's where the horse comes from? Yeah, it's crazy, yeah.
All right, so they're about to watch Dawn of the Dead.
Okay, good.
So let's do a proper, real quick intro for Dawn of the Dead. Anything you want them to know going in? Any surprise Easter eggs that you've never mentioned to anyone?
Never mentioned.
Never mentioned. No,
I
just
don't know.
just anything that like whenever you see it like jumps out at you. As
Well,
like,
of course, you guys know I'm in the title sequence, right? Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
So look for that. The cool thing is like me killing the press corps because that's who's behind me. Like supposedly that shot in the movie is from, Mr. President. This is that's the press corps that we like mow down. So that's interesting. And
So this was the lead into the next or the last. This was the last question. So yes, they asked him. The last question was, what would your top pick for any IP? If you could do a movie on any IP, what would your top pick be? And he basically kind of said, well, he talked about like The Dark Knight Returns and whatnot. But then the first part of it, what he talked about was a King Arthur movie, his version of Excalibur, but a very stripped down version. And if you know what Zach has said in prior interviews about his next project is that he wants to do something smaller. So in a sense, I kind of feel like we're getting hints that we might get a Western Zack Snyder's Excalibur. Smaller movie in scope, but that would be interesting, right? A Zack Snyder Western, pretty wild. I would fucking love that. And maybe that's why he's in Texas, trying to get in the vibe. Maybe he's looking at shooting locations here. I don't know. We have a lot of like wide open spaces here in Texas. So Zach has tons of fans in this area. But yeah, and he talked about wanting to adapt Dark Knight Returns. I gave a huge shout out. And he's like, yeah. He saw me freaking out about it. So I need to see that. We need to see Zack Snyder's Dark Knight Returns. And we hinted at it. He got hints of it at BVS during BVS, right? But time goes by, Ben Affleck becomes more comic accurate to that version, right? Still a hulking dude, still looks freaking amazing shape. If you've seen Hypnotic, his movie that came out last year with Robert Rodriguez, who happens to be Austin, Texas native, and Ben Affleck and J-Lo came to Austin to film Hypnotic here. There's a scene where he's freaking ripped. Ben Affleck is fucking ripped still. So his marriage to J-Lo has done him nothing but good things for his physical health. But yeah, this is kind of the end. He started to talk about some of the Dawn of the Dead Easter eggs that we were going to see. And he's just so, just so happy. It's so cool to see him after everything him and his family has went through, just to see him like celebrated. So it's funny that you say that, Sin Havoc, maybe Rebel Moon spinoff with Henry Cavill. So I will tell you, since you brought it up, what my question was going to be. And I'll be honest, I missed a lot of Rebel Moon. I was physically watching it, right? But I was so nervously trying to figure out how to word my Q&A question. But this is what I was going to say if I would have been asked. Actually, I'm not going to say exactly what I was going to say because there may be an opportunity. Maybe there's an opportunity for me. But basically, yeah, I was going to ask about fan theories of Henry Cavill in Rebel Moon. I was going to ask specific things, actually, 2 specific things first. But more or less, that was what I was going to ask him. Try to find a way to plug in his Superman to Rebel Moon. And hashtag Cavill shot first. Yeah, I loved Hypnotic, right? That was an amazing movie. And if you haven't seen Hypnotic, I don't think it did very well at the box office, but a pretty awesome turn of events in that movie. Alice Braga, yes, I loved her. She's in the X-Men movies. She was unfortunately in the Suicide Squad, which I'm not a fan of, but great actress regardless. And her and Ben Affleck are the leads of that movie and really fantastic. No worries, and Havoc. Yeah, we're going to be wrapping up here soon, but I just kind of wanted to show these last few pictures and videos because I did kind of give Zach a shout out. And I caught it on video, luckily. And I think he was very touched on what I had to say. Just wanted Zach to feel the Southern hospitality of Austin, Texas. It seemed like he did, just based on his vibe through the entire event. Like, just so nonchalantly speaking, you know, having a beer, you know, vibing off the fans, and smiling while doing it. And after everything that happened in the past with the studios, it's good to see him, you know, looking so healthy and rejuvenated. So here's the last little clip, one of the last little clips.
Sarah Pauly.
Oh, actually, I think the when I have the comments up, that's what caused the lag. So let me try to do this again. So these are more little tidbits that he's talking about from Rebel Moon. I mean, I'm sorry, Dawn of the Dead, because we were about to watch that.
Sarah Pauly, when we trained her, she's Canadian, you know, incredibly Canadian, in the best possible way. By the way, Sarah Pauly is a genius.
She's
so
a
let's
genius.
just say that right out loud. And I was lucky to have her in the movie, you know. How did you get that indie darling in your fucking zombie movie? I don't know. Still, I don't know. The verdict's out. She hasn't told me. But anyway, the point is that we taught her, we had to teach her how to fire a gun, right? She's going to have to use a gun in the movie, fire a shotgun. And my friend Kurt Johnstad, who is also wrote 300 with me and wrote this movie, I've known for years, is amazing. Also quite proficient with firearms, was one of the main tenets when learning to fire a gun is like never let the barrel of the gun pass over anything you don't want to destroy. Right? If you're firing a real gun now, this is in a real gun scenario, not in a movie. Now, that separation for Sarah was not 100%. Like, I was like, okay, that's true on the firing range. But now we're doing a movie, so it's okay to point the gun at people. And those are zombies. And she goes, yeah, but it's a stuntman. I'm like, okay, I know. But for the shot, it's important that you point the gun at them.
Sarah, you are so Canadian.
And she's like, I don't know how to do that. I can't. It's dangerous. Like, you taught me that it will pass the barrel over anything you don't want to. I don't want to destroy you. And he's very nice. Very nice stunt man. He's like, I talked to him 5 minutes ago. Like, I don't want to destroy him. I was like, I understand that, but the gun is clear and safe. It's 100% fine. He's fine. You're fine, right? He's fine. He doesn't. We're all. This is 100%. It's a friend. We're making. It's a drama. It's not real. I can't do it. So I was like, okay. So we had to trick it. I forgot how we did it. But then there's a scene where, as you recall, where Ving Rhames puts the barrel of the gun on Sarah's forehead when she comes out of the car.
Oh no!
And she's like, how are we going to do that?
Like a fake forehead?
And I said, what do you mean? Well, how are we going to, what are we going to use for a gun? I was like, well, I'm thinking the gun. She's like, does Ving want to destroy me? I'm like, no, he doesn't, obviously. So what we had to do is take the gun completely apart. And all we have is the barrel.
Yeah.
Like, the gun was, so we just pointed the barrel with no gun attached to it. Yeah, that's the close-up you'll see.
That'll
It's just
only be the barrel.
Just the barrel of the gun, yeah. So that's a little trivia.
There you go. Folks,
But it was.
So amazing. Little behind the scenes tidbits of Zach working with Sarah, and you know, Zach works with his artists. You know, he does what he needs to do to get the best performance and to make sure they feel comfortable, no matter how crazy it is. And this was the kind of wrap up. There's actually a video that was posted on Twitter of me. You can see the back of my head front and center in front of Zack Snyder. Had to try to get a little selfie with Zach since he was right in front of me. So I kind of got to get Zach on his little sign out. Yeah, I was so excited to see him having a smile on his face, looking rejuvenated, and you know, looking like he was enjoying himself in my city. There's one last video clip that we're going to show as the sign off. As he signed off and led into the Dawn of the Dead screening, which was my first time actually ever watching the film. I believe it was the director's cut. My first time watching the director's cut of Dawn of the Dead. So in theaters also. So it was an amazing experience. Great movie. I love to see the origins of Zack Snyder, you know, as a creative. I don't know why these aren't loading for me. Taking a little while. But yeah, I don't know why Zach was here. I think it might have been for the Joe Rogan. Maybe he's doing more research. But okay, I don't know why those two aren't playing. But this is the last lead in to Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, also, don't forget, guys, that this movie is on the 19th or no? Yeah, the
Rebel Moon Part 2, April 19th.
April 19th, Rebel Moon Part 2, but this movie was March 9th. So, okay. This is and by the way, to my knowledge, this is the anniversary screen. Oh, it's not screening anywhere else. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I should probably hurry up and organize something. Although this is definitely adequate. You guys are honoring his memory.
Some people at Universal.
Oh, cool.
Let's
Yeah. We should work something out because it's it's kind of cool. It's 20 years.
It's a birthday present.
Thank you. Yeah, well, there you go. But thank you guys for listening to me rant like a lunatic.
Yeah. I think they do an hour or two. Thank you so much, folks. Zack Snyder.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to start Dawn of the Dead here in a second. Once again, as always, make sure you tip your Alamo Drafthouse staff. Put some money on top of that service fee. Thanks again to our friends at Netflix.
Yeah, guys.
Thank you. Rebel Moon Part 2 is on April 19th. Thanks again. Folks, sit back and enjoy. We're going to let everyone roll out. And let's watch some zombies, right?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Enjoy.
Dawn of the Dead.
Thanks, Zack Snyder.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to start Dawn of the Dead here in a second. Once again, as always, make sure.
Swimming in that belt cheddar, baby. Let's go, Rebel Moon. Got all the merch, the belt mugs, the popcorn bowl, the popcorn, the Jimmy, the lighting. Let's go, Rebel Moon Part 2. The Scar Giver. Let's go. Yeah, there's my comics up there too. Yeah, House the Blood Axe. Let's go. Rebel. So fun. The event was amazing. I just wanted to share some of the clips. I apologize that it came off so like grainy. I think what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to cut the video clips that I have. I didn't have the entire thing, but some of the video clips that I do have, I will cut together in a video and upload it to my YouTube channel so you can watch it without being, you know, kind of interrupted, you know, with the lag. So sorry about that. I don't know what, I think maybe my internet connection might be a little wonky, but yeah. April 19th, 2024, Rebel Moon Part 2. Can't wait. Same here, Sin Havoc. Thanks for showing up. I know it's been a busy day of streams. Like I said, I don't really have a ton of time coming up. I might be a little MIA. I'll be around, but I might not be as present as I want to in the month of March. Family stuff, family obligations. I got a loved one going through some things, several loved ones going through some things, dealing with my Facebook. Once again, if you know anyone who's had an issue like mine, having your Facebook disabled by artificial intelligence, not being able to appeal it in any other way due to them saying you know, abused the terms of service and had your profile hacked and you have proof of that, please let me know. Reach out to me. Dawn of the Dead anniversary is in 3 days from now. Yeah. So basically what he was saying was that to his knowledge, you know, I think March 9th was when Dawn of the Dead came out. So he was saying, you know, this screening, even though it took place on March 5th, was considered the 20th anniversary screening because to his knowledge, there was nothing being planned at that time. So it was a Rebel Moon promotional event for part 2, but it was also a lead-in to Dawn of the Dead 20th anniversary screening. And before we sign out, thanks for everybody for showing up here. I did kind of want to play this part one more time because it's my favorite part of the entire evening.
Has created a pipeline that is very robust, right? Like they can, you know, so hopefully this movie, the sequel or the part 2, it's not really a sequel. I mean, we did them together, so it's really a second chapter. Yeah, and the cool thing about it is like, look, this movie admittedly doesn't really have an ending. I know it doesn't. It was really it was written as one script that was 200 pages long, and again, unwieldy and ridiculous. At the time, I didn't even have it broken into 2 scripts, so I gave them the 200-page script. I said, "This is kind of it," and they were like, "What the fuck is this?" In what format is this supposed to be photographed? Right. Like, is it so you're saying you're going to make a 6-hour movie? And you're like, yeah. And I was like, wow, that feels long. Yeah, that feels long. With an intermission, I guess. You know, like a break, some kind of break.
In your head, it like.
So they are 2 6-hour movies. So if they turn out to be 6 hours, the director's cuts are 6 hours. These are 2 each, right? So they're 4. So it's additional 2 hours, additional stuff.
Any thought to, I mean, you know, when approaching that is like, hey, I've got flexibility with my partners at Netflix. I mean, you know, structure it as a miniseries, structure it as, or, you know, and any reason why just do it.
I'm sorry, that was the wrong clip. It was this clip. Sorry about that. Wait, the one before that. This one.
Make Watchmen. You're fucking crazy. To make a movie that somehow got to that feeling that I got when I read that magazine. Now, the PG-13 version, which is fine and I love, doesn't really have the same tone as you'll come to find out from the 3-hour version of this movie. It's literally an hour longer, and it's right now we're just trying to get it to R. I think we're going to get there. And so it's like a much different experience, I think. And I think it'll be fun for you guys, for anybody who's like a fan of, because it's the why I made the movie. That's what you'll see. Like, that's what I wrote. And so the opportunity I had was, we'll make that movie. We'll make this movie you wrote, which is a sci-fi, takes tons of resources, has no business existing, has no business, like Justice League, it has no business. Literally.
What it does.
In the same way, but we just did it preemptively. Like, we had this cool opportunity to say, I said, you know, this movie, this PG-13 movie, love it because it's sacrificed itself on the altar of cinema so that this other movie can exist. So, you know, in that way, love it.
Well, and in that way, I mean, how long has this been brewing in your?
So to that end, I just had to go out, you know, when Zack Snyder talks about Justice League existing, it does, it exists. We got it, baby. And we will be showing up April 19th, 2024, Rebel Moon Part 2 on Netflix, showing up. Thanks for everyone who stopped through. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream. Sorry about the lagginess. I'll go ahead and work on getting this all cut together and upload it to my YouTube channel. If you happen to be a fan of X-Men, Marvel's X-Men, the last video I did upload was an old video of when I got to meet and greet the cast of X-Men 97. So check that out if you're an X-Men fan. I got to interview Wolverine himself, Logan, Cal Dodd, Lorraine Zan, Rogue, Chris Potter, the original Gambit, and my personal favorite X-Men character of all time, Catherine Disher as Jean Grey, Phoenix, Dark Phoenix. So check that out on my YouTube channel. Thanks for everyone who stopped by. I hope you enjoyed hearing the tidbits. I will upload the version on my YouTube channel so you don't have to see the lagginess. Thanks for showing up, everyone. DC Talk. Good, Austin. Thanks for coming by, homie. Check out Zod Writer's channel. If you missed Still Abdul's channel stream earlier, go check that out. I'm going to go watch the full-length version of the Joe Rogan podcast. And if I don't get too tired, I'm going to put on this baby right here. Happy 15th anniversary to the Watchmen, and happy belated birthday to Zack Snyder. Happy birthday to Debbie Snyder as well. We know Zack couldn't make his art without you. Thanks to everybody, Still Nation, everyone who supports Zack Snyder and the Snyderverse community. Hashtag sell ZSJO to Netflix. Sell Snyderverse to Netflix. No compromise, not even in the face of Armageddon. Let's go, baby. Peace, y'all.